Now, looking to the next part of our programme on what's coming up. This is the last year. Have you got any particular plans? Things you want to push through? Which we talked about slightly, but, things you want to get finished.
Justice reform. That's the third part of a very important piece of work we've been doing in Home Affairs. So sex offences has been absolutely critical. That's been something I've been pushing for, and the Sexual Assault Referral Centre, which has taken far too long, and having had personal experience via someone that I know of what that was, prior to the new plans, and seeing how challenging that is for people anyway. And I think we would all appreciate that reporting a sex offence is difficult, but doing it when you're being asked to travel to the UK to have samples taken because we can't do it here, I just think is just unacceptable. So that has been something I've really been keen to get through. Sounds almost
too obvious, that bit. It must worry some people just hearing that information. That could put people off, right? Is that what's happening?
Absolutely. That for me is the absolute concern. And it's already... people are put off reporting sex offences because of having samples taken. Sometimes people think if it might not meet the bar of achieving a prosecution, it's easier to just get it right in your own head and not report. Obviously, that's a huge risk for us. What we do want is people to feel confident in reporting, to feel that the processes are right, to feel that everything is in place to make the victim absolutely front and centre in terms of the support mechanisms we're putting in place. At the minute, the situation we have is imperfect. I'm not going to defend it. It's not right. Sexual Assault Referral Centre, we're now moving forward with that, but it has taken too long. It's been really a challenge.
Why?
I think partly it's been the need for funding from different departments. I think it's we've been looking to make sure we get it right, to go to different areas, but actually because the previous service had already fallen, because we don't have the people here who can take the swabs, actually we were already in a difficult position. So we need to get that moving, and urgently. So I want to see that crossing the line before the next election. I'm really...
And obviously health is so much part of your remit. I mean, all the shutdown and all the problems that's caused with other treatments, should we have confidence that we can get back to where we were if we don't have another outbreak, of course?
Yeah, and I think now there's a big piece of work that's gone on in our health services, not just to make sure that we can resume services, but that if we were to need to restrict anything in future, it wouldn't have the same level of impact. So that's a big piece of work. We recognise the first time it was very much a case of we want to keep people out of the hospital wherever possible. Actually, we're going to need to find a way where two things can run together, because we potentially have COVID for a long time. I mean, we can't just assume that a vaccine is going to come, miracle cure, everyone gets a vaccine and it's sorted. There will be people who can't have the vaccine. There may be delays with the vaccines. There's a whole lot of things that at the minute potentially push us further and having to live with COVID-19.
And David Ashford is the minister. You work with him closely. I mean, do you have lots of meetings, or how's it go on in that?
Yeah, so we have very regular meetings actually, and additional meetings because of the work, the transformation is happening. So there's additional committees with political involvement, and then that will be, it's almost running in a shadow now, and then the Manx care model will come alongside and then will supersede. So there's a process in place at the minute that is, we're all learning, but we want to get it right, and it's, we've got a key time before January Manx care come in shadow form, and in April Manx care comes in full form. So we've got a lead in. It's been slightly changed because of COVID, but that's life.
And we touched on the problem in the first section. I mean, that must still be a bit, your mailbag must be quite busy with that one, is it? And will be, I suppose, until it's actually finished.
Yeah, and I think people, when there's uncertainty, people reach out. And I mean, I always think there can't be anything that I haven't come across. And then yesterday someone completely floored me with something I hadn't seen before, and I was like, wow, okay, don't have an answer. So, and it's the sort of thing probably won't have come up for anyone else. Yeah. It's very specific, so it's then going away, speaking to the right people and getting the
How do you work with Chris Robert Shaw, as the two of you? I mean, do you have your surgeries and linked also with the council, aren't they still?
Yeah, so we do the Douglas surgery. In fact, I'm on Saturday.
Yeah, right. This might go out after that date, so it was Saturday, but anyway.
Saturday the 26th,
okay,
so
give it a date,
if it's the wrong date, yeah. so we do joint surgeries with the council because
so that's interesting.
Yeah, do you know, it works really well because people often come into the surgery and they're not sure whether it's national or local government in terms of
tap leaking, who's going to deal with that one?
Yeah, so it works well, and sometimes things cross over both. So it means that there's someone there, representative from both sides, and we can pick issues up and work together on them. And I think that's a really important thing to do anyway, is to have a good relationship with the council. When
are you going to make your mind up about announcing standing up? We've moved away from asking you here because obviously the implications, but when do you think it's right for you to make your decision or tell the public what your plans are for the next 5 years? Yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, certainly in my mind, you know, you're looking at the minute at things I want to get done in the next year. That's a priority. But there are things that are on the horizon, things that, you know, I think we've already discussed, for example, assisted dying. You know, obviously the debate came on that. That was something that was very much suggested should be an election topic. So there's things that I think are already playing that you think, well, even if it's not me, they're things that it would be stuff that I would want to tell to whoever is elected. Your name comes up for potential great positions if you want to stand. I mean, are we ready for the first female chief minister? And could that be you? Look, from my perspective, we've always been ready for the first female of anything, in the same way we should be ready for the first LGBT it's a ridiculous question. And first person of colour. It is a ridiculous question. But we are living in that world, unfortunately. Yeah, but actually, a brilliant story I heard from a different parliament, but I thought it was just beautiful. It summed up how we should be responding, and they'd actually got pictures of the first male MHK equivalent, first minister, first chief minister male. Then they'd done the same for the women, same for people of colour, same for LGBT, same for people with disabilities. And the ones that had not yet been filled, they put a mirror. And they got the children when they came and toured round to look in the mirror and say, that could be you. And I think that's what we should be embracing. We should be saying to everyone, you know, I'm a nurse. First and foremost, I'm a nurse and I'm a mother. Those are my things that I've been and will always be. And at the minute, I'm doing something because I want to do right for the people of the Isle of Man. I want to represent the people of Douglas East. Everyone can do that. Everyone has it within them. And what I want to see is a really diverse group of people on the ballot paper. I think that would be a real message to send, to say, actually, this is accessible. It's not a boys' network. It's not even a girls' network. Do you know what? It's just a people's network. It's a network of people who want to do good for their area and for the people of the Isle of Man. And that, I think, is a really important message to get across. So if I was playing a game of consequences with you, let's say David Ashford got a new position and he got maybe the top job, would you see yourself, and if you stood, would you see yourself as health minister be the right fit for you? Because obviously you accept you'd be a minister of something if you got back in, you want to be, wouldn't you? Yeah, I think I wouldn't rule anything out, and I think it's very much about making sure we've got the right team, and I think being able to, you know, as someone who's worked within healthcare, I was always able to say, actually, there's sometimes there's people who are better than you, and sometimes there's things you would be really good at. And I think it's being able to look at who the alternatives are. I'll make it simple. It's yes or no. Would you like to be the health minister? I'd certainly consider it. That's nearly a yes, isn't it? But I wouldn't. There's nothing I wouldn't consider. Okay, I think well, that's something. Are there other things that also take your fancy if you go forward? I mean, are you happy doing what you're doing? I think it's easier to say there's nothing I wouldn't consider. You know, there's nothing I'd say, oh, I don't want to do that because it's too difficult or it's not my interest. There's different bits, you know. When I first came in and got put on the Environment and Infrastructure Committee, which was a voted member of Tynwald, I was thinking, oh my goodness, scrutiny. I don't know if that's what I've came into Keys. I'm very much policy, and I thought, oh my goodness, environment. I'm very interested in because of the young farmers, because of climate change. Infrastructure, I'm thinking, oh, I've got no idea. It's one of my favourite things I do now. Do you like scrutiny then as well? Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy that. Do you want to be an MLC in that case then? That's not on my
That's their job, isn't it? Scrutiny? Yeah, but I think actually we need to value scrutiny within Keys to the same extent that we do policy. I think that's a really important point. You can't have good policy if you don't enable good scrutiny, and we shouldn't block the best people from scrutinising. We should actively get our best people scrutinising, because we should be welcoming challenge, because that's where we get our best policy. Well, in the last minute, it's vote time, number time, and that sort of thing. How did you do in the last year out of 10, you think? I think I'm going to stick with 7. You know, I think I've been consistent. I'm certainly been very responsive to people who've contacted me. But there's more to do next year. Okay. Oh, and I've left that lockdown. Are you on side with where we are at the time of recording? In a brief sort of answer, please. No. Oh, no, it has to be longer now. We'll have to go over. No, what do you want? So I think that we need to be more pragmatic. in terms of how we analyse our risk. So at the minute, I could go to England, I could then go on to the most infectious place in the world, and I can come back to England for an hour and then travel to the Isle of Man, and I can access the 7 days in a swab. But actually, I think people who are in a higher risk should do 14 days. But equally, I would say that someone from the UK coming here should also be able to access the 14 days.
Now, we both went to Guernsey and we both saw that in action.
Yeah, so Guernsey...
We saw that. And I've asked the
Guernsey,
Chief Minister about that, but he's not moving.
No, and that's fine. Ultimately, he makes the decisions. I'm not in that group.
Again, at the time of recording this on Thursday, he's going to talk to the nation.
Yeah,
so
4 o'clock today.
Yeah.
I'll be waiting. 3:58. Okay. I'll probably get an email telling me what's going on.
Oh, we've got a whole extra episode here. But very quickly, out of 10, how would you rate the government, the Quayle administration?
I'll stick with a 7. I think there's things they've done really well. I think we're in a strong position. My concern is now we've put the lid on so tight that we're struggling to get it off. And I think that will be the test of really how we do with COVID, is how we get back out of this without, losing key workers because they can't see their family, and without further damage to the economy.